If I could redo my 20s all over again, that's definitely things I would have not repeated, but also things I would have done again in a heartbeat. So, hi friends, my name is Judith, and welcome to my channel where I talk about career, finance, and life and time management. So I'm going to start with the first on the list, which is half of the things you worry about will not happen. Now, this hits really close to home for a lot of people because we can all agree that in some shape or form, we all have some sort of anxiety. And I can't count the number of stories that I can tell where I was worrying nonstop for days or even weeks or even months about something and it didn't happen at all. Here's the story as an example. There was a tree in our front yard that had a branch that was basically going across the neighbor's driveway. And I was really worried that that branch was going to fall because it was, slowly dying. And we had to wait for the homeowners association, the HOA, to give us approval about whether we could remove the tree. They were taking a while to get back to me and I was starting to freak out and I was stressing every single day, like to the point where I couldn't even like rest or sleep and just thinking like, oh gosh, like the tree's gonna fall, and I can't do anything about it. And finally I reached out to the HOA and I told them, hey, this is a safety hazard, it needs to be removed. And they got back to me saying, sure, you can go ahead and remove it without our approval. And within a few days, I was able to get the tree removed and nothing bad even happened. But looking back, I was basically worrying about things that were beyond my control, which was waiting for the HOA or, some sort of like act of nature, a thunderstorm and stuff like that. Instead, what I learned was that I can only think about the things that are within my control and act on those, and anything that is not beyond my control is not worth stressing about. Number 2, stay humble. Now, when I say stay humble, I mean more so always realize that there is room for you to learn and improve. A humble person is not afraid to acknowledge their mistakes and also listen to the feedback of others. A lot of times, as humans, as accomplishments and achievements happen, we tend to come up with this mindset where, oh, what I'm doing is right and what I've been doing is right so far. And we tend to perceive that the opinions that we have surpasses someone else's opinion. And over time, this becomes a bad thing when you're not acknowledging the opinions and ideas of the circle of friends and family around you. And you might not even notice it, but you might start making wrong decisions just based on what you believe is correct. Number 3, do not expect anyone to take care of you. Yes, of course, you have your parents and they're always going to love you. But then again, also a lot of us don't have parents that are involved in our lives. So when I say do not expect anyone to take care of you, I mean more so in different aspects of your life, such as your career, your goals, your finance, and stuff like that. This really hit me hard, especially when I was in college and I was away from my family and the friends that I grew up with. I was completely by myself and I remember making some really close friends. Now, I thought these friends kind of had my back in the sense that they wanted to always hang out with me and, we would go out to bars and stuff like that. And it came to a point where I was being asked to go out like all the time with them. And I, again, saw it as they wanted to develop a close relationship with me. But what started happening was that my grades started getting worse. And I had to basically tell them, no, sorry, I can't come out today. I need to go study. I need to get my grades up. And they kept pushing me again, like, oh no, we should just go out. This is what college is about. You need to have fun. You need to enjoy yourself. And I didn't really push for myself and just kept going out. And finally, I failed the class. And looking back, I realized I should have set boundaries for myself. And this was not even just with friends, but also in my work and in my career. I realized I shouldn't always count on the support and guidance of others because I'm not even sure what their intentions might be. So I think it's important to take ownership of your development and also seek out opportunities for growth. Number 4, don't dwell on your regrets. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard this one. It definitely does sound overrated, but there is a reason why it's overrated, because there's just way too many people in this world that are harboring over the regrets from past mistakes. It's just really sad because I have seen a lot of people in my life that have done this to themselves, and instead of talking about their future goals, they keep talking about their past and what has happened in their past. And I have encouraged them many times to start thinking about their future, but it doesn't work because they are so caught up in their past and bitter about what has happened to them. A lot of times it's obviously regrets on the decisions they have made themselves, or also something from their past, maybe someone who was horrible to them, or something happened in their childhood, or just being bullied, which obviously is very sad and horrible. But there's also cases of people who have the victim mindset where no one really did anything wrong to them, but they try to rationalize their own decisions by blaming others or situations that have happened in their past. And that is very dangerous because they are stuck in that mindset for a very long time that the situation that they're in is because of others and they just can't let go. So the lesson that I'm trying to point out here is, yes, we all have regrets. I have regrets, you have regrets, everyone has regrets. And some regrets are very small and some regrets are very big. But you have to see that a lot of successful people took their mistakes and their regrets and turn them into lessons that they can use going forward. They see their mistakes as opportunity to learn and grow from, and not something to be ashamed about. It's also important to recognize that mistakes are always going to happen, not even in the past, but also in the future, because it's just part of the natural learning process of life. This could be whether you're trying to learn a new skill, achieve a new goal, or navigate a very difficult situation. The key is to not let those mistakes define us and to harbor over them, but to use them as stepping stones to success. So the next time you find yourself dwelling on your past mistake, try to reframe your thinking by thinking, hey, this is an opportunity for me to grow. Number 5, don't strive for perfection. When I think about perfection, I always think about the advice one of my uncles gave me when I was young. And he said, your life is like an audio equalizer. I remember when I heard him say that, I was like, okay, let's see where you're going with this. And what he was trying to say was, hey Judith, you like to play music, right? And whenever you work with audio, you have to basically equalize the sound. Like, oh, I want to increase the gain on this. Oh, I want to lower this down. I want to increase this, decrease that. And he said life is an equalizer in that sense, where you have different categories where you have responsibilities, such as to your family, to your friends, to your finance, to your job, and to your own personal self-growth. And the point he was trying to make was that you're never ever going to be perfect in all those categories at the same time. It's just impossible and not human. And what's really going to happen is that you're going to have to adjust and prioritize as needed. It is a balancing act where some days your family is going to need more of your time, some days your job's going to need more of your time, and some days your finance might need more of your time. Number 6, always question what you hear. And again, another story is an example. My dad was part of a group of friends where one friend was always very convincing. And what ended up happening was this friend started basically sharing kind of like gossip about everyone to everyone in that circle of friends. So what he would do is he would go to person 1 and talk about person 2 with person 1, and then do the same thing with person 2, talk about person 1 to person 2. And he kept doing this over and over again, where it started harboring a lot of hate and judgment within that circle of friends. Until one day, someone kind of sat down with someone and was like, who did you hear this from? And he said, oh, from this person. And he's like, who did you hear this gossip from? And it's like, oh, that same person. And they realized that all this time they were judging each other. They did not try to even hear the perspective about the other person. And this goes to point, whenever you hear something, for example, a friend telling you, hey, so and so said this about you, do not immediately take it to heart. Instead, try to find out if that person actually said all those things about you in the first place. Half of the time, it might have been adjusted or dramatized in some shape or form. And it's really sad because this does happen with a lot of friendships and also in the workplace. And on the other hand, this lesson also applies to social media and everything that you listen and see. So when it comes to making judgments, it's always important to make sure to collect as much information as possible and to listen to both sides of the story before deciding. Number 7, be conscious of your goals. So I think of all the lessons that I mentioned so far, this was one of the biggest for me. I felt like a lot of my 20s, I was in la la land, where I did not know what I was doing and what my goals are and what my future was going to look like. And looking back, which is what I currently do a lot of now, I wish I set more conscious goals for myself in all areas of my life. And when it comes to those goals, I should have set short-term goals and also long-term goals. And of course, those goals can change over time organically as you grow older, but I felt like it could have been a light in the tunnel for me on what exactly I'm doing in the present moment. Having those goals would have helped me also remove a lot of distractions, which is going to be the next point I'm going to talk about. But yes, in a summary, set goals for yourself. Not only short-term goals, or daily or weekly, but also maybe like every end of the month, just check in with yourself, do some reflections on how your month went. Is it contributing to your overall growth? And then also do a whole year reflection. A lot of times as humans, we only set goals at the beginning of a new year. But looking back, I wish I had started this habit of making goals every month and also reflecting on how my month went. Number 8, learn to commit. Now remember in the previous lesson how I said it's important to remove distractions? This is what I mean. I feel like we are living in a day and age where instant gratification can happen all the time, where you can easily pick up your phone and you can order something and the next day it's already at your doorstep. Or you can go on social media and easily see what your friends are up to. Or even just type on Google and get the answers that you need. So with all of that, it's very easy to get distracted from the goals that you want. So this can happen in any part of your life. So for example, you have the goal of starting a e-commerce business and you have been working for maybe a year towards this goal. Then you go on social media and you see someone talking about affiliate marketing and how that is great and that you should become an influencer. And the next thing you know, you've been putting 1 year of effort into your e-commerce business and you felt like you're basically in the valley of that business. You drop it all and then go into affiliate marketing and start over. And this can be very detrimental because you can't see in the future how far along you have come in the first goal that you have set. So my advice, and this comes from personal experience, when you have a goal, stick to it and set to it because it's very easy during the valley to give up on that goal and to go find another goal, especially when you have a lot of questions and answers right at your fingertip. But try to set a routine for yourself and every day remind yourself of this goal and that you're in the hard part of it right now and that something good is going to come along. Number 9, jump on any actions or goals that you have. Now, I'm a firm believer that it's never too late, but there can also be different phases of your life where it gets harder to do things that you want to do, especially when you start having kids. I personally do not have kids yet, but I definitely have a lot of time to work on goals that I have for myself. And obviously, once I start having kids, it's going to be a whole new ball game that I'm going to have to adjust to. So yes, you can always start anytime in life, but there's going to be parts of your life where it's going to be easier or harder for you to work on your goals. Number 10, always think long-term, not short-term. So when I say think of long-term, think of a goal that you have. Maybe, for example, it's buying a house. Think of where you're at in the current position towards buying a house, and then think 10 steps ahead about what you have to do and start doing that now. So buying a house, that's very expensive. You're going to have to start saving for a down payment and closing costs. So maybe that trip to Puerto Rico will have to wait, or the traveling that you want to do will have to wait. But those tiny short-term sacrifices that you make will take you another step forward in that long-term goal that you have. Another example is learning a new skill for your job or your career. Yes, your evenings are going to be busy. You might not be able to meet up with your friends as often or do fun stuff that you like. But by spending that time developing your skill, that's going to be supplemental to your career in the long run. So now saying this, I also don't want you to go on the other end of the extreme where you're focusing so much on your long-term goals that you miss out on all these small little snippets of life that you can enjoy. So try to strike a balance in what you do. Make time for your family or friends, take care of your health, but also work towards those long-term goals. You gotta pick out your battles and find what works best for you. Okay, so we are done with the category of mindset, and now we're gonna go into the category of lifestyle. I'm gonna start with number 11, look for moral boundaries. So when it comes to spirituality and religion, obviously every human has their own religion or belief that they resonate by. Whether you're an atheist or a Christian or a Buddhist or a Hindu, that is either the religion that you are born to or over time learn that this is what feels best for you. So what is important that comes with that is to look for moral boundaries. To take the time to really learn about your religion or your spirituality and understand the values and principles that come with it. And even if you do not feel like you're a very spiritual person, try to write up what is important for you, for your character, and also for your boundaries. Number 12, learn to self-learn. To achieve any kind of success or personal growth, it can be very helpful to come up with your own learning plan. But by learning how to self-learn, you can tailor your education based on your needs and skills. This can be very helpful in the long run of achieving your goals more effectively. Personally, for me, the way I self-learn is just by Googling all the questions that I have about anything. And you'll be amazed how many resources there are out there on the internet, whether it's in the form of an article or a YouTube channel or some sort of simulation or an app or software that you can use. There's just way too many resources from the internet to pick from. So to begin, open either a Google Doc or a Notion page. If you're not sure what a Notion page is, check out my video on helpful tools to stay organized. I explain a little bit more there about what Notion is and how I use it. But anywho, back to my point, open a page and start copying and pasting the resources that you found through Google. And once you have an ongoing list of resources, start organizing them by categories or either by chronological order of how you want to access them. And now my next point, travel in your 20s. When I look back at my life, I am so glad I traveled in my early 20s. I just do not have the time and the money right now because those are dedicated to other goals that I have. But traveling in my 20s really expanded my horizons and also taught me a lot about how other people live in different parts of the world. Now, I'm not asking you to go on like some 6-month trip to Europe where you're spending like so much money. It can just be small little trips here and there, also within the country that you live. One way to really maximize your travel is by embracing nature because nature can be free. And some ways of enjoying nature can be like hiking through a forest, swimming in lakes, camping under the stars. So if you're in your 20s, use the time you have here and there to go travel. Promise you'll enjoy it. And one day you're gonna look back and be like, man, I'm so glad I did that while I can because that is so hard to do right now. Number 14, adopt a minimalist lifestyle. Now, before you get upset with me and be like, oh, not another minimalist telling me to get rid of my stuff. This is not what this lesson is about. Over the last decade, I have accumulated a lot of things. And yes, those things have given me joy and happiness in one shape or form. Every time I want to clean the bathroom, for example, I have to take things down and then clean and then put it back. And that was taking away a lot of precious time from the other parts of my life that I wanted to focus on. And with social media, it's just so easy to see an influencer recommending a product and buying it within 5 seconds. So all I'm asking is not for you to go on some big splurge and to get rid of 90% of your stuff and have like everything empty and like no decorations. That's not the point. Obviously, you want to personalize your home to reflect you as a person. But all I'm saying is try to find ways to get rid of things that are not really necessary that can make cleaning much easier for you. Another thing fantastic about the minimal lifestyle is that you can also save a lot of money. Number 15 is developing a routine and a system. Now, what I have realized over time is that there are 2 types of tasks. The first type of tasks are urgent and important. These could be errands that you need to run, paying the bills, buying groceries, or picking up your kids from school. For example, if you don't buy groceries, you're not going to have food in the fridge and you might end up eating out more, and that can cause you to spend a lot more money than you want. Second type of tasks are not urgent, but they're still important. And as an example for this, it could be starting a business. It's not urgent because you might have a day-to-day job that pays the bills and puts food on the table, but it's still really important because you want to leave your job eventually. So because it can be so easy to get caught up in the first type of tasks, which are urgent and important, it's very important to set aside time for those second type of tasks, which are not urgent but also equally important. One way of doing that is by developing a system. A system can help you reduce the mental thought that comes with getting something done. For example, let's say you want to be more fit. You decided that Saturdays you're going to go out and buy groceries, and Sunday is going to be dedicated to meal prepping. By doing that, you're saving yourself the time that you would usually use during the week to prep those foods, and you can use those precious time to work on those second type of tasks which are not urgent but equally important. Systems are great because it can make it easier for you to work on the things that matter. I'm actually working on another video on how to develop a routine and incorporate systems, so be sure to check that out. Okay, I am done with the mindset and the lifestyle category, so now we're going into the health category. And now, number 16, health is wealth and nothing beats this. Think of it, there are a lot of people who end up making money or are successful in one way or another. And what's sad about it is all that time they spend building whatever that thing is up, they can't even enjoy it because now their health is declining. So what's the point of life if you're chasing something and in the end of the day you can't enjoy it because you didn't take care of your health? So start getting regular exercise and also find ways to have a balanced diet. Now, even on the days you don't want to work out, even just 30 minutes of walking can make a huge difference. Walking can be such a nice break for both your brain and your body. So make sure to always prioritize your health. So this next lesson falls in the category of health, but also can fall in the category of finance. And that is learning how to cook. Learning how to cook in the long run can be so helpful for your health because you are basically taking control of the ingredients that go into your food. This can be so rewarding because you can choose the kind of oils you want to use, the kind of vegetables, and you don't have to worry about what kind of processed or unhealthy stuff that's going into your diet. And cook it the way you like based on your taste buds. And of course, learning how to cook your own food can save you a ton of money in the long run on eating out and also on tips if you live in the US. Number 18, don't completely trust your doctor. Now, I know that sounds very controversial. I'm not telling you to stop listening to your doctor, but rather to just play a more active role in your healthcare. Every time you go and see your doctor, especially if it's for some kind of a serious illness, it's always a good idea to get a second opinion from a different doctor. And there's also sadly a lot of cases of doctors who do not listen to their patients and the symptoms or side effects that they're having. So it's okay to voice your concerns and to think twice about the recommendations and medication that you're being prescribed. For example, personally for me here in the US, I tend to try to stay away from a lot of the pain medications that are given. I feel like that the US has a very bad problem of over-prescribing painkillers, and I do not want to get addicted to any kind of opioids. So here's an example. When I got my wisdom tooth removed, I of course took the recommendations of my doctor to make sure to wash out that area every day and also to eat very soft food like mashed potatoes or bananas. But I was also prescribed with Percocet, which is a very strong painkiller. I tried taking one Percocet and immediately my body was just like, no, stop taking this. I started feeling super nauseous and dizzy and just wasn't a pleasant experience overall. I stopped taking it and I ended up just taking Tylenol, which ended up working so much better for me. And it was funny because I was prescribed with way too many Percocet just for someone who got their wisdom tooth removed. And I can easily see how people can get addicted to those painkillers. Just don't assume that everything your doctor gives or recommends is necessary. Always ask for the essential medications and procedures that you think are necessary, and do more research on the medicines that they recommend before taking. And now onto the next category, career. So one thing I wish I did in my 20s was to learn about my likes and my dislikes before committing to my college degree or even a career. I feel like the whole notion that you should go to college first and study and get a degree and a bunch of student loans and then get a job doesn't make sense. Because think of it, before you buy a car, you like to test drive the car and make sure that you like it and then buy the car, right? So why are we not doing the same thing with a 4-year college degree? We should test out the jobs that we like first before committing so much of money towards that degree. And of course, this is my own personal opinion, to every each its own. I kind of wish I took the time after I graduated high school to just try out different kinds of jobs and figure out what I like and don't like. before committing to a degree. By doing the reverse, which is getting a job first, then enrolling in some sort of education, you can have much more beneficial outcomes on your career. And also, just as a reminder, a 4-year college degree might not be for everyone. There's also many different kinds of trade schools that you can enroll in depending on your likes and your interests. Number 20, learn quantifiable skills. A lot of times, businesses are looking for people to hire for the work that they otherwise can't do themselves. Think of it from the perspective of a business or a company. Let's say you own your own business and you want to design a logo and a set of company graphics. Well, maybe you don't really know how to use those graphic softwares, and learning it yourself is going to take a lot of time and effort. You might otherwise choose to outsource that work to a professional graphic designer who can get the job done for you. Companies are always looking for people with a specific set of skills. So try to learn skills that will set you apart from other employees in the career path that you want. And finally, the last lesson in the category career is find a mentor. Now, looking back in my career trajectory, having a mentor would have been very helpful, as they could have pinpointed from their own experiences of things that I should focus on and things that are not necessary. In your career, you're going to get a lot of suggestions and a lot of recommendations from all kinds of people on what to do, what to learn, and how to get the job done. So find yourself a mentor to help you identify your blind spots and areas to improve, and also provides you feedback and suggestions on how to grow. Okay, so the next category that we're going into is relationships and friends. So number 22 is to work on yourself before you start to date. So when I say this, think of the ideal person that you want to date. It could be someone who is kind, who is funny, who is chilled, maybe patient, good looking. There can be many factors as to what you want in a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse. And once you have the list of what you want, go through each of them and see whether you have the same things. You basically want to be the person that you want to date. There are a lot of ups and downs that can come in a relationship, so investing on the time upfront on developing yourself can go a long way. Number 23, don't stress about getting into a relationship quickly. Looking back at the past decade, there were so many times I was caught up over a guy thinking, oh, when is he going to text me and this, and just investing way too much time and energy and emotions into it. All that time that I spent harboring over a guy, I could have focused on my career and other personal goals that I had. And whenever I think about this, I always think about what Lady Gaga said. Word for word. Okay, let me read it out. Some women chase men and some for dreams. If you are at a fork, remember, your career will not wake up one morning and say, I do not love you. Doesn't that hit the feels? And obviously, this is not only advice that stands true for women, it's for everyone. If you're spending way too much energy on one person and they're not, set them aside and start focusing on your own other goals. Number 24. If you want to get married, don't date someone more than 3 years. 3 years is a good amount of time to build up trust and to fully learn about the person you want to marry. And at the same time, it doesn't make you rush into anything without giving more thought. But after 3 years, if you find yourself being the one continuously asking about marriage and your future together, it can be a sign that the person that you're dating is not ready for commitment. Sadly, I have known way too many people who have been in relationships as long as 6 or 7 or even 10 years, and then it ends up with a breakup. And it's hard because they have devoted so much of their time and their emotions into that person and have to start again from the ground up. Now, I'm not saying that breakups are bad. You do grow a lot as a person from it, but there's also the other side of the coin, where it's making sure you're not wasting so much of your time on just one person only for the relationship to end. I also know there are a lot of young people that have been dating someone for quite some time, and the reason you do not want to get married is because you're still relatively young. But even if that's the case, it's still good to start having those conversations about how you see your future looks like, what timelines do you have for each other, and stuff like that. Okay, number 25. This is not only for relationships, but also for friends and families. Learn to be chilled and flexible. Overall, in relationships and to get along with people, you need to learn to adapt and compromise as needed with the other person. And of course, we humans, we are creatures of habits. We like to stick to what works and what's best for us. But sometimes with that, it can cause a lot of clashes because you're not open to the ideas of the other person. And also giving yourself a chance to learn and grow and to try something out. By being open and receptive to the ideas of others, you can also avoid future disagreements that might happen. And of course, I'm not trying to tell you to do something that you're uncomfortable with, but basically, if it's not going to hurt you or make you uncomfortable in any way, but it's just something new to try, why not? Okay, number 26, do not hoard conversations. And again, this does not only apply to romantic relationships, but also your relationships with your family and friends. You'll be surprised to know how many people at the end of the day just want someone that can listen to them. If you're trying to make more friends or to be a better friend, start with learning how to ask questions about them. Not only does it shows that you respect them, but it also shows that you're trying to get to know them better and that you want to deepen your friendship. By taking the time to listen to them and to engage with the stories that they share, you're becoming a supportive friend and someone that they can confide in. So by listening and asking questions, you're not only showing that you care, but you yourself are also learning a thing or two from their insights. Number 27, spend time with your family and friends while you can. So one story that I can remember is about a friend of mine, and at that time he was living in China. He was really tired and getting ready for bed when he saw a missed call from his dad on his phone. At first he was thinking, you know what, I'll just call him first thing in the morning. But his instincts were telling him, no, go ahead and call him now, and he did. He ended up having a very nice conversation with his dad and said his usual I love you at the end. The next morning, sadly, he woke up to the news that his dad passed away from a heart attack, and it shattered him into pieces. But the one memory that he cherished until now is the last phone call with his dad, laughing and giggling away. So whenever I think of that story, I always think life is short, don't wait until something happens. Next on the list we have is number 28, focus on a small group of friends. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of friends, but I found that I wasted a lot of time socializing with people I really didn't care about. And looking back, there were all these genuine friendships that I had that I wish I had spent more time on. And it's amazing because those genuine friends, I still keep in touch with them until now. By investing your time into those relationships, you build yourself a strong support network for the ups and downs of life. And you also end up being the person that they can confide in. And finally, the extra time that you save not wasting it on people you don't care about, you can use that for your personal goals. Alright, we made it to the last category, personal finance. And for this category, I only have 2 important lessons. Number 29, do not accumulate debt. I'll say that again, do not accumulate debt. When it comes to debt, I understand it's not easy for everyone to avoid debt, especially right now with a recession happening in the US and also bad inflation globally. But try to do what you can to live within your means. So making decisions such as buying a car or getting a student loan or choosing to save that money can really make or break your wallet. You're just never too young to start learning about personal finance. It's going to be one of the most important categories of your life because it means comfort and stability. Just taking simple steps to learn about investing, retirement, and saving for your future can go a long way. I am planning to make more videos on personal finance, so if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe to my channel and look out for those future videos. Which brings me to my last lesson, which is number 30. Think carefully before deciding on a major decision. One example I can give with this is that my husband and I decided not to get a dog in the meantime. Now, this is not to say we don't want a dog. We really, really want a dog. I love dogs. I love cats. I've always been a pet person. But right now, with the recession happening in the US and also just recent purchases like buying a new house, I just feel like financially we're not in the right place to buy a dog. With buying a dog, there comes bills when you go to the vet, getting dog food, the shots that they need, and also like a place to run, and also doggy daycare just in case you need to go on a trip. So it's important to track your expenses month to month, create a budget for yourself, and then when you're faced with a major financial decision, to look at the expenses that might come ahead and see whether you can work it into your budget. If you find that it's not going to work with your budget and how much you ideally want to save, then it's a no-go and it's a decision that you need to postpone until you're ready. And that's it. We've made it to 30 lessons before 30. I have definitely learned a lot in this decade, and there's so many things that I am happy about and also sad that happened, but I've learned so much from. Of course, these are all just my personal opinions, so take them with a grain of salt, but I hope you found this video helpful one way or another. If you like this video, be sure to check out some of the other videos on my relatively new channel. Thanks for watching and see you later. Bye!